Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Math with Audrey. Should have like a theme song. Math with Audrey. So we are working on inscribed quadrilaterals. This is something that has come up into one of my tutoring sessions for this week, and definitely want to address it. So we did the inscribed triangles back on the 7th, which was on a Monday. So we begin the week with inscribed triangles. We're going to finish out the week with the inscribed quadrilaterals. All right, so before we get started, if you can do me a favor, if you like what you see, go ahead, follow me here. If you're not following me here, you can also subscribe and follow me on YouTube. So if you missed the beginning of this, maybe you want to see the replays. The replays of my TikToks are definitely going to be on my YouTube channel, Audrey Codner at ACG Math Tutoring. And then go ahead and drop a Google review at ACG Math Tutoring on Google. Okay, really want to get those up. And of course, my live schedule is all over the place because I'm finally reaching out to more people, which is great. They want more one-to-one. But again, I am all game. If you want to get maybe a GED group together, I'm all for it, but you just gotta let me know, all right? So then let's take a look at inscribed quadrilaterals. Let's kind of zoom in a bit. So never forgetting that when you have the arc measure, not the arc length, okay? We're not doing arc length. We are looking at the measure in degrees of your arches. So if we take a look, we notice that if the total is going to be 360 degrees. So we're looking for this missing angle right here. So if we recall, this is an inscribed angle. So inscribed angles is basically half its arch. So we know that from arch Z to L is 118 degrees. We know from Z to Y is 112 degrees. So right there, if we add all those up, I think that should be like 230, if I'm not mistaken. All right. So if we know that whole entire thing here is going to be 230, I'm sorry. I thought somebody was like knocking on my door. I'm like, yeah, you're going to be knocking for a while. All right. That means this remaining arc, okay, this arc from here all the way over to here, to the L, okay, that is going to be our 360 minus the measure of the arc of that 230. So that means this arc from here, let me put some color to it. So basically from here, to here. Sorry, tape was in the way. Okay, that's going to equal 130. And the reason why is we know from L, this major arc right here, LZV, okay, that totaled 230 degrees. If we take 360 and we subtract by that 230, we can get the measure of that arc, which is 130. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the measure of this angle. So since it's an inscribed angle, we know that it's looking at this point from here to here, which is so happens to be the measure of the arc that we just found. So we need to take half of that. And if we take half of that, that will give us a total of what? Okay, what would be half of 130? Hey, Lisa, good. Lisa's saying it's 65. Do we agree? Do we agree? I agree. Good. Hey, Pog. Mine's your yes. Mine's yours, yes. 65. So the measure of that angle that was missing is actually going to be 65. So I'm going to say the measure of angle Z is equal to 65 degrees. So the key part we got with that unknown, all right? So now you're probably saying, okay, Audrey, that's awesome. We got to know what that unknown was, which is great. But on the next one, so I just wanted to kind of do this as a review. On the next one, I want to know the measures of all the angles, okay? So in this case, they kind of gave us a little bit to kind of look at, all right? So let me push this one aside so we can get to the next one, okay? And I know we're going to find this unknown, but what I want to look at is all the measures of all the angles, okay? All right, so how can we find y and x? What do you mean? So how can we find y and x? Like the other two angles? I'm going to actually show you. So yes, opposite angles from a quadrilateral in a circle, they do add up 180 degrees. Good job, Aaron. Yes? Okay, I got you. All right. So let me zoom in just a hair. Maybe a little too much because I need some room to write. Okay. So this time they gave us a couple arcs, but they didn't give us the measure of any of the angles. Okay, that's why I wanted to do this one. So if we notice that arc XJ, this minor arc right here, they're saying it's 64 degrees. They're also giving us minor arc XY, and that's 92 degrees. So if I take a look, it's going to be kind of interesting to see what the remaining would be out of the 360. But because it's not even. But then I got to take a look at what's called those endpoints. If I went from Y to J. So if I go from Y to J, is there an angle that's connected to Y to J? Hey, if I take a look from here to here, I got angle Z. So how can I find angle Z? So Beauty, how did you get 26? Put in the chat, how do you think you got 26? Now, for people that are coming in, I'm just asking how this person got it. Doesn't necessarily mean that it is correct. So don't be like, oh, I think I got something else. I did something wrong. Okay? We want to get this inscribed angle Z. We're going to use what we got. The reason why I'm using Z, because this point here, this segment here, and this segment here created that angle Z. And it's an inscribed. So what do you guys think is the measure of angle Z? Okay, so Pog Champion saying 156 divided by 2. Okay, Dennis is saying 78. Okay. Okay, any other answers? Question marks are accepted here as well. Question marks are accepted here as well. Go ahead and put it in the chat. So this is one of those interactive type lives. I mean, you can sit and watch. You know, you can do your dishes. You can listen to my lovely voice. Maybe it's like one of those soothing type things. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be like, what is it, ASMR? Like, I don't know if I got that point yet. Right? Okay. All right. So I'll accept that. Thank you for the honesty. Is it Jane? Thank you for the honesty with a question mark. All right. So let's take a look. We have from here, from X to Y, it was 92. From J to X, it was 64. So that means the measure of this entire arc, okay, the measure of this entire arc is 92 plus 64. And that's what Pog Champion has, okay, with the 156. So this whole entire thing is 156 degrees. But since this is an inscribed angle, not a central angle, a central angle, if basically the vertex is at the center of the circle, then that angle would equal 156. But since it is on the back end of the circle, we need to take half of that 156. And that half of the 156 is similar to what Dennis said, which is 78 degrees. Okay. All right. So you're saying opposite angles are supplementary. So that's what we got from Peter. So if that's the case, Peter, what's the other angle that we need? Where is that 102 going? Okay, where's it going? You can't just come out here and throw some information out here. Yeah, because I think it was, wasn't Dennis. Was it Dennis that mentioned that earlier? No, it was Aaron. Aaron mentioned that earlier. Okay. So James is saying it's going to be on X. Yes. Okay. So Peter, you're giving me great information, but tell me where to put it. Okay. It's like, oh, it's 102. It's 102 degrees. But where is it going? Is it going for J? Is it going for Y? If it's going for X? But James helped you out. So supplementary. Okay. Two angles add together to give me 180 degrees. So we're saying that this angle X is going to be 102 degrees. The reason why, when you have a quadrilateral, basically the angles opposite each other, okay, they will give me my supplementary. All right, good. All right, so now let's take a look. So now we need to know a little bit more information. So if we're saying that this is 102 degrees, what is it telling me? What else is it giving me? Ooh, Bob Ross is here. Yay. But what is it telling me? Okay, JZY. Okay, so JZY is going to be 204. Why is that? That means JY, okay? So since this is a major arc, it's majority of the circle, make sure we name it with 3 letters, okay? Minor arcs we can name with 2, okay? Like I can say JY, because that's basically a minor arc compared to from here to here. Good. So JZY, that's going to be 204. And 4, because its inscribed angle is this angle x. Look at the endpoint from J all the way to Z all the way to Y is basically helping me create its sides, those segments. So that means if I double the inscribed angle, it will give me the measure of the arc. All right. So it's great to know that bit of information, but we need the degrees of all the angles. How are we going to get J and Y? How am I going to get J and Y? What could I use? Oh, something's in my cursor's on my. Okay, good. Inscribed angle, good. X is an inscribed angle also. BC is an angle inside of the circle that's beyond the center. Okay, AKA it's called the inscribed angle. BC, there's no BC. Okay, plus BC, if you're naming an angle, that's 3 letters, not 2. So now we need to figure out the other 2 angles. Okay, what could we do to try to figure out the other 2 angles? Okay, he meant because, oh, okay. All right, so Dennis, how'd you get 148? How'd you get 148? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to see what you guys can pull out. Because you're giving me great information. You're already telling me that my JZY, that whole thing is 204. So now we need to figure out the other 2. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, it starts getting a little challenging. The next thing you know, everybody's leaving. I'm like, why? Why is everyone leaving? We got to figure this out. We got to figure this out. We got to figure this out. $180 minus 78. How are you figuring 180 minus 78? Can we draw a line from J to L? Okay, we can, but how is that going to help us with finding J or Y? So you're saying that ZY, arch ZY is 112? Okay, how'd you get to 112, Bob Ross? And we're getting some good ideas. And I know it's a little challenging, but you're trying things out, which is awesome. So angle J is from X, Y, Z. All right. Yeah, my things just froze. I'm sorry. So I was trying to get it back. All right. All right, so we're saying, Bob Ross is saying from 204 minus the 92. Okay. So you got your 204 minus the 92. That will give you your JZ. Okay. Okay, so you're saying that Y is going to be 78. And that's what you got. And so your J is going to be 107. All right, so let's see. So if we got our 204, which is this whole entire side, right? So if you got your 204 minus your 92, you got your 112. So if you have, so you got your 204 minus the 92, that will give you your 112. But what about that 64? Like, how will that isolate it for the 64? So would it be the 204 or would it be the 360? So Gail's saying the 360. Okay, so now we're going with 88 and 92. Thought it was a 78 and 102. What was the change? Isn't Y 78 as well? No. Because they're not giving me congruent arches. So that's why that's the Y is not a 78. Sorry, I'm just getting a lot of my messages back. There's just not enough information. No, there is. Okay, that's true because they are directly across from each other, which will give me 180. But they're not congruent, so it's not like I can just add those two up and say, oh yeah, that's 90, and then divide or multiply in order to find the arches. Okay. So JZ is 112. Then 112 plus 64 divided by 2 is 88. Okay. But you had before a 78. What was the difference? And the reason why I can't just simply do 180, because we're not, if I drew a line, I'm going to do it in pencil. If I drew a line from J to Y, it's not going through the center of my circle. Okay, that's why we can't just simply do the 180. Okay? Because it doesn't go through the center of my circle. If it was a diameter, yeah, we could shut this down. Okay. Okay. So we're looking at, so in order to find your J, so we got this endpoint here and this endpoint here, right? So that means we're looking at this arch at 92 and then part of that 204. Okay, so couldn't we, because I know if we take this plus this, but we're trying to figure out what is this small bits of info. Right, that's true, Gail. From here to here, that's 204. But if we're looking at angle J, we need from X to Z. So it's like we need to know what this part of the angle is. And we need to know what this part of the angle is. These are question marks, by the way. Sorry, it does look good too. Hold on. We need to know what this part of the arc is, and we need to know this part of the arc, because it's not equal. It's not just, okay, let me do 204 divided by 2, then I can just have that being here, then I'll add those two up, and then I can get the other one if I just do this and add that up. It's not even. Okay, yes, I got that with the 360. So how can 204 plus 156 not 360? Wait, hold on. Try again, Gail. How can 204 plus 156 not 360? Who says it's not? It does. It does add up. It does add up to 360. So how? So how does 204 plus 156 equals 360? Okay, all right. I was like, Gail, you all right? I know. You're like, ah. Okay. Right. So I got that whole entire. So now I'm sitting here trying to figure out this little piece, because if I can figure out this piece, then I can figure out the measure of this arc, which I can take half of to put here. Okay. So I need to make an equation. Well, what would be the equation? What do you think? And I forgot who said that. Find y, then add them up and subtract from 360 to find j. True. Who said that? All of a sudden I can't scroll. Okay. Okay, that was you, Bob. Sorry. Yeah, because I know some people are like, you're using 88 and 92, which will give me 180. But there's a lot of other numbers, a lot of other digits that can give me the 180 as well. Because we all know that the points directly across will give me 180 degrees. But why is it just the 88 and the 92? So X, Y, Z, you're saying 71. All right, so how did you get to 71? So where'd you get 71 from? Just, oh, okay. Just like a guess? Okay. Two equations with two variables. Because all you're going to do is like say you have this, if you make this into an X, you make this into a Y. So you know that X plus Y is going to give you 204. Because that's what we found. And you know that X plus Y plus the 156 is going to equal 360. And if you did your substitution, you get your 204 plus 156 is equal to 360. And you just get 360 is equal to itself. And you're like, oh, okay, well, they're equal to each other. But does it help us get X and Y? Oops, sorry. Okay. Okay. So, why is it not possible and why you say it's no solution? Because have you tried every avenue? Because if we knew what one of the angles is, because this could be 78, this could be 88, this could be 92. Have we used everything? Nope, no hints. We need an A. Have we used every tool? Okay, so we're using triangular rules. Okay, we'll still get us stuck to point A and point B. Have we used every tool? Proportionality. Okay. Okay. So that means we need the length of sides, don't we? Because we got angles. And is that only for right angles? Because I don't see any right angles. Well, the angle proportion is only the same with the arch if it goes through the center of the circle. Show circle? Sure. I'm so sorry. So you're saying X, J, Z? Okay. How would you get 109? Okay. So we've tried adding the arc measures. We know that the opposite angles are going to equal 180 degrees. But have we used, and we're using a lot of theoretical, I'll give you that, that's a hint. A lot of theoretical things. But have we used all our resources? And if you're not sure, question mark. Remember, question marks are always there. But I love how you guys are thinking. There's a probability, proportionality. Okay, we need length of sides. Okay, we got a couple of the angles, but we need lengths of sides. And plus, if it was a central angle, if the vertex is at the center of the circle, totally got you. But they're not. We got inscribed angles. Okay. We could break them up into triangles, but that's still going to leave us with the whole notion that from J to Y is 180 degrees. Okay. And I was like, I know, I promise. It's not all of them are going to be this challenging, but this one kind of goes to old school version. Maybe that might help. That's another thing. What did we do back in the day? Draw a line through the center. I won't be able to draw a line through the center. If I want to go from this point to this point, it's not going to be through the center. You're thinking. What did we used to do back in the day? What did we use? She's like, I don't know. I'm in 7th grade. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to end the torture. I had to turn it this way so I can get into it. So I want to find the measure of X, Y, Z. So here's my endpoint here. Here's an endpoint here. Here's my vertex there. What is she whipping out? What is that? You guys forgot about protractors? What? See? Old school stuff still works. All right, so I'm going to zoom in. All right, so it's not like the traditional protractor because these are the safety ones. So I put my bottom part. This is my line. So now I'm looking at my angle. So I want to line her up as best I can. So we're looking at what? So roughly like around. So if this is 75, 77, 78, 79. So 75. I'm trying to do this with one eye. You should really see this. It's hilarious. Okay, so 79's here. 78's here. 77's here. 76 is here. So it's roughly like around 76.5. Okay, so we're between the 75 and the 80, so it's about like around 76.5. All right, because 84 is all the way down here. Well, no, 84 is up here. I'm reading it wrong. So like probably what? We are 7s. We got that because this is 90 right here, so it has to be less. So if we're going here with the 45, 60, about like 65 point something. Ooh. I know, I'm like all changing all around. So what do you guys think? So this is 60. This is 65. 90's right here. What do you think? It's about 67? 65 to 67, so 70, 75, 80, 85, 90. So they're counting by fives. So this will be 65, right? Somewhere in the middle, about 67. I will take 67. Okay, can we say 67 just to kind of like end this up? Okay, so about 67. So the reason why I did that, I know, not just only to make you crazy, but to show that there are so many tools that we can use. And I know everyone's not going to be like, yeah, let me whip out my protractor, Audrey. Yeah, since I've had when I was in 8th grade, says no one. All right. But sometimes when we look at these, whoa, let me unzoom a lot. So even when you get homework assignments, okay, notice things are missing. And sometimes, including us teachers, we will get like some things are like, yeah, we want to project, we want to do more. Sometimes we're going to have to use some of these tools, okay? Sometimes you might have to like download a protractor or take a picture of it, use AI, whatever you need to do. Now, using AI is not all bad. It's bad when you're just like, yep, I'm going to do my homework. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Okay, AI, and you're writing stuff down. And then when your teacher asks you what you wrote, you're like, stuff. And then we just want to flip you out the window. So, but using these other things, okay? So let's finish this. If this is 67, what is the measure of angle J? Okay. So, yes, you can actually. Gail, you can. As long as it's not a calculator, you can use the abacus on all major assessments, on SATs, ACTs. You can use a protractor. But a lot of people are like, I don't want to go in there looking with a protractor. Okay. Yep, pretty close to the angle. So what we got? So 67, so that means angle J will be what? What would be the measure of angle J if we're saying Y is 67? No, we don't even have to go that far. There we go. There it is. There it is. 180 minus 67, because opposite angles of a quadrilateral are supplementary. Supplementary meaning is 180 degrees. So the measure of angle J will be 113 degrees. You're always talking about, Audrey, challenge us. Audrey, challenge us. Well, bam, there you go. Yes, pretty close. That's true. But here's the thing. You guessed at 71. You're like, I think it's 71. Oh, never mind. Okay? Be confident with your answers. Don't try to be like, oh, yeah, that's what I said in the very beginning. I was real close. Don't worry. It's nothing but love. Take too long. Yes. All right? But here's my thing. Most of the inscribed quadrilaterals, that's not on like most of your exams. Sometimes you may see it if you're taking it in class. I know a lot of students are currently doing this in class, so that's why I'm doing this here, just in case like people are doing it in their classroom. But is this on the GED? No. Okay. ACCUPLACER, I have yet to see one. If I have seen anything on ACCUPLACER, it's the inscribed triangle, and you're just finding one, okay? But I wanted to do something fun. Why not? It's Friday. Torturing other people's brains. I haven't done it in years. How you feel? You're like, I liked you, and now I'm not going to follow you anymore, Audrey, because you suck. All right, definitely not on the GED. It was torture. But here's my thing. Your brain stimulated, right? Your brain stimulated. So now I just want you to solve for X. Okay? They do the same thing for the SATs. If you really take a look at it, they always do the math portion, and then they'll have you do reading and reading comprehension, and they always put another math at the end. That's not just by accident. They do that on purpose because now you exert so much energy in the beginning that now they're like, all right, let's see if that person can still do math at the end. So it's like you have to have that torture in order to train, just like an athlete. You have to go through practice, put yourself in practice scenarios, and then when it's time for you to game time, you can basically adjust to any situation given to you. Okay? Spoken from as a former student athlete and professional basketball player. Okay? Yeah, see? You didn't even know I did all that. Google me. You're like, what? I'm like, yeah, Google me. And it's like when you watch the national championship, Dawn Staley, I played against her when I was in high school, and we were friends in college. Then, Gino, he's from Philly. Please, everyone from Philly knows each other. And he used to work at St. Joe's University, and that's where I went to college. See, look at this. You just thought it was just some kind of chick over here doing math. No. Okay? Now you have a headache. Your brain is alive. Are we adding or multiplying? Well, let's see. What are they giving us? They're giving us the measure of this arc, FG. Okay, and that's 62. All right. They're giving us this arc over here. Oops. See if I can draw an arc from here to here. And they're saying that's 64. And you're probably saying, oh, wait, Audrey, there's a line right there. That's 180. That's wrong. It's not going through the center of the circle. Okay? If it was going through the center of the circle, yes, that would be a semicircle. So now we are given what? Endpoints. Got this point G and this point E. And look, it created that angle M. All right? It created that angle M. So we can take this one of two ways. Okay? Yup. Work it as two different triangles. We could do that. Hey, Ann. Okay? It's all full circle. I know. It's crazy. All right? We can take this one of two ways. Okay? What can I do next? What can I do next? Okay. So I feel like there's too many people, including myself, that just gives. All right. It says, am I right or wrong? I didn't see an answer. Hold on. Maybe my thing is backed up again. Yeah, I didn't see your answer. Go ahead and put it back in again, please. Okay. Yes. Christmas love. All right. Hey, Cash. Okay. So you're saying the answer is 2? Okay. Are you being confident with that answer or are you guessing? Are we going to keep doing this with the 71? Sorry, I'm being very teacher-like today. Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't see it. I think maybe TikTok took it down because I don't have it. 4 times? Ooh, I definitely don't see it. Sorry. Okay. All right. Yeah, because I didn't see anything. So we have these 2 arcs. 2 arcs add together will give me what? Okay. So if I take my 62 plus my 164, that major arc GFE is going to be 226. Okay. So for the 226, that's that major arc, which is helping with my inscribed angle. So remember, the inscribed angle is basically half your major arc. Okay? Right? Or, right? So we have 1/2 of the 56x plus 1. Let's see if you guys can see. Whoop. Okay. And that's going to equal our 226. Okay. What's going to happen here, you're going to double, because I'm going to multiply by 2, multiply by 2, so I can get rid of that fraction, so I don't have to worry about doing the distributive property. I can do that because this is multiplication. It's 1/2 times the sum of 56x plus 1. So now I have my 56x plus 1 is equal my 226 times 6, which is 1,350. Wait, hold on. No. 226 times 2. Why am I times it by 6? Jesus. I'm like screwing all kinds up today. Which is 452. Don't ask me why I multiplied by 6. Don't know. Don't know where that came from. But here we are. So we're going to subtract by 1. So my 1s will cancel out. Now I have my 56x is equal to 451. Divide both sides by 56. Because we want to isolate that variable. So divide that by 56, and we should get a lovely decimal. So something went wrong. What went wrong? That's what went wrong. So instead of multiplying, I should have divided, right? And what would that give me, right? The 113. So then I would have my 56x plus 1 is equal to my 113. And 56x is going to equal 112. So divide both sides by 56. So that will equal what? 2, right? Nope. So that will definitely equal the 2. All right, Reet. Good job. On 228. I thought 228 when added. 164, well, that part I know I did right. So 164 plus 64, but it's not 64, that's why. It's 62. That's why. Yeah, so the other end is 62. Okay. All right, so we found what x is. Okay, so for this one, we're finding our x, and we're going to try to find our other angles. And this is going to be our last one. Okay. Oh, please, Dolores, you see what I was doing. I'm over here multiplying by 2. So shoot, we are all human. We are all human. So tell me what my x is. And my missing angles. What is the objective? To find our x and all the angles. Angle P, angle V, and angle X. That's the objective, Joe. Julie, you think it's 10? And make sure you look for all the measures of angle PV. You already know what W is, and X. Okay. You got 10 as well? Okay. Find my missing angles. And don't forget angle X. Okay. And when you're ready, go ahead and put your answers. Put them up. Okay, so we got angle X is 88, XPV is 83, and PVW is 92. Okay, and we had two people that said that the value of X was 10. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's see if we got it. So, they gave us this angle of 97 degrees. So the ends was at V and at X. They also gave us from X to W was 104 degrees. And they gave us from P and arc PV was 114. So since this is my endpoints for that angle W, I needed to figure out what this part was. So what we could do Because if we wanted to go with the x, we had to figure out this little piece with that part. So if we knew that 114 and the 104, okay, v and x has to be less than w. Okay. And then plus, we could use the angle because that would be so much easier. Because I know from here to here, this will give me 97 degrees. So the arc is going to be twice as big. That's what he's saying. So the arc is going to be twice as big as 97. So if you did 97 times 2, that will give you the measure of arc XV. So with your 97 times 2, that gave you 194. But they told us from P to V is going to be 114. So you have your 197 minus your 114. That will give you your arc measure of PX, which is 80. Okay. So I had to double the 97 to get this full arc here, this major arc here. So I doubled it to get my 194, but since they had that 114, we subtract that 114 to get our 80 degrees. Now that's going to help me out because then I can figure out what this arc VW is. Because the sum of the measures of arcs equals 360. So couldn't I take my 114 plus, so couldn't I take my 114 plus my 360? And let me make it smaller so you guys can see what I'm writing. All right, so you got your 114, you got your 80 plus your 104, that's 184. So that gives you your 298 plus x is equal to 360. So if you subtract that by 360, that means this little minor arc of VW will give you 62 degrees. Okay. Knowing all your degree measurements, now we can focus on what's happening with our x. So, switching pens, slide over a little bit. So we know that 8x plus 8 is equal to, okay, this is going to be half your major arc. So I know that my 114 plus my 62, that's going to give me my 176. But I want half of this to equal that angle. So if I take half of my 176, I can say 8x plus 8 is equal to 88. I had this all written down before. Okay. So now if I'm solving for x, I'm going to subtract that 8 to give me my 80. And if 8x is equal to 80, that means x is equal to 10 because you divide it by 8 on both sides. So if x is equal to 10, basically what I got, my 8x plus 8 right here, that 8x plus 8, which is the same as the measurement right here, was 88, that means this is 88 degrees. And knowing that angles directly across from each other are supplementary, and knowing that angles directly across from each other are supplementary, means this angle V, that's going to be 92 degrees. And these angles directly across from each other are supplementary, meaning that they're worth 180, will give me 83 degrees. All right. So yay. So how do you scare people away? Let them do something a little bit intensive. Exactly. All right. So that is what we're dealing with. So when it comes to inscribed angles, regardless if it's a triangle or a quadrilateral, the inscribed angle is always half the measure of its arc. Okay, it's always half the measure of its arc. Or the arc is double the amount. Whoa. All of a sudden my screen just went blank. Okay, hopefully you guys are doing all right. All right, so that's it for today. Now that I have confused the living heck out of you guys, I know the next time I'm going to go on, I'm going to be doing probability. Someone did mention that last night for a little bit of probability. I'm going to go on. I'm going to be doing probability. Someone did mention that last night for a little bit of probability, permutation, and combination actions. Okay. Only one of the problems was bad. I know. But see, that's my thing. That's life, you know? Hey, everything just seems like, oh, okay, that's easy. I can do that. I can do that. You know, you're always going to have that one problem, that one situation. Okay? We're always one situation away from jail, guys. Okay? So whatever you're thinking of, don't do it. Don't do it. All right, so we're almost done this book. Okay, so next time we'll be coming together. We'll be looking at probability. Okay, and I'm going to start working on my combination and permutation because I got to fill that in. And then we'll be starting on to my next book. Okay, because we just filled these things up so quickly. All right, so again, thank you so much for your time and attention. I appreciate it. I know they're like, I didn't like this. That's why we're going to keep it at that amount. And that's perfectly fine. All right. But I'm going to see if I can download this shenanigans. And all my downloads of the lives are on my YouTube channel. Okay. So I will be seeing you next time. If anything, I might see you later on today. I'm not certain. So don't hold that to me. But I will definitely be here Saturday. Okay, definitely going to be here Saturday, probably Saturday evening. I will try for the morning, but it's probably going to be Saturday evening or afternoon, one of the two, depending if I get that cancellation, yes or no. All right, so have an amazing day, guys. Thank you so much for joining in, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye now.